No more, no more, no more, no more, no more crumbs.
It's the Value Journey Podcast with Rhonda Jennifer.
No more crumbs. You are royalty, victorious, God's creation. You've been made for so much more. No more, no more, no more, no more, no more.
Often, from our experiences, we are left to feel unworthy, empty, and questioning if we matter. But with God, He reassures us that we do matter, and we do have tremendous value. Have you been conditioned to devalue yourself? Are you settling for a lifestyle of crumbs? Do you question your purpose and value? The No More Crumbs value messages are derived from the Bible story in Matthew 15:25-28, where a woman believed she was only worthy enough to settle for crumbs and never believed she deserved more. Not until she met Jesus. Jesus encouraged her to want more in her life. And with this woman's acceptance of Jesus' love, she was awakened to want better for her life. From this acknowledgement, Jesus commended her on her faith to accept the new truths about herself. The Value Journey podcast is focused on providing supplemental and suggested tools to help you accept the positive truths about yourself and guide you on how to take action steps to activate your truths. God has designed for us all to live a life that is full and enriching. You deserve victories in your life. You are royalty. You are God's creation. You are valuable. Now join me as we grow together with the Value Journey podcast.
In this episode, our guests share their story as a young married couple, partners in life, raising a family, and managing business. Christine Williams is a wife to Stan Jr. for 4 years and a mom to their beautiful son, Stanley III, better known as Trey. She shares her life and passion for living healthy on Instagram called Living Life Homemade. Stanley II is the husband of Christine, the father to son Trey. Stan has been preaching for over 10 years. He is dedicated to the God of the Bible, his family, and his newly found ministry. Read the Bible with me. Thank you so much, Stanley and Christine. I missed you guys so much. So thank you for this time. You have so much to offer and to share as a couple, as a young couple in business and in ministry and as parents. So I look forward to what you're going to share to the audience. So thank you. Let's start off in just sharing how it is for partners in life and in relationships.
I think that me and Christine, we work together well because we actually work together a lot. We work at the same church. And we work together well because I think just being upfront with each other of what makes the other one feel like the other one is being listened to and loved, and then what are the things that are the buttons that you don't want to touch that triggers the other person. I think that's been one of the best ways that we have learned to communicate with one another, just those things like guardrails, okay, this is what we're going to do, and guardrails.
Yes, because since we started dating, we've actually been together all the time. Only time I think we weren't together was occasionally when he had to go travel and everything like that. So being together all the time, and then once I got married and working in ministry with him, I've learned so much about him, and so much like he's kind of different when he works. So like when it's conference time, what I mean by different is just like he's in work mode. So during conference times, I know, okay, Stanley's in work mode. I can't say these things. I can't do this. I just got to make sure, like, okay, and not to take it personal when he's in his, like, those times of just a lot of work's going on. I try to make sure, okay, it's not personal. He's just working. So,
In the same way, when there's something, I know that when I'm in those work modes, she's kind of my anchor and saying, okay, come home. It's time to come from the office, come to the house, get something to eat, make sure I eat and stuff like that. And we just kind of balance each other out with that way.
So we both learned each other and how we work in different spaces. And then also we make sure we communicate, like after say a conference is over or just a high stressful kind of thing is over, I'll go back and say, hey, I didn't like when you did this, or can you not do that or say that? But just communication and just learning each other.
Right, and learning when to
Mm-hmm.
address certain topics.
Oh,
Because
right,
if somebody is just going through something really heavy, to bring up your concern right at that moment might not be the best, might be the best time. It might push that person a little further away at that time.
Right.
But like she said, she's really good at writing it down. She's talking later. She's a big writer, and so she'll write it down and she'll just say, okay, these are the moments that we got to work on. Yeah. And I'll be able to hear her there, because normally we take a vacation or a day or so off after a big conference. And I've got a pina colada, it's much easier to digest a critique, when you're in a, relaxing state,
And that's so smart that you guys are like conscious to balance each other and to respect each other, and respect when you guys need a little space or need a little time. That's so important. And taking that, self-care is so significant. That self-care.
Oh gosh, yes.
Especially now with a little minion running around.
Yeah.
We got to make plans to do that, please. Because it's every waking moment. There's no more sleeping days. When he is born, and they told us
I have to say that I'm so thankful for you, because Stanley does let me sleep in.
I'm a morning person though.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm being some saint. I'm just, I get on up in the morning because I'm up at 6. And so, I'm a morning person. Yeah. She's becoming a morning person.
I'm doing better. I'm doing good.
Because Trey's making you.
Yes,
Yeah, you're sharing the responsibilities, you're coming together as one, and then also respecting each other's separate lives. Did you develop that over time? Because when you were dating, how was that like?
We were dating. Everything I think is developed over time.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say when we were dating, I think I was very like, I want to be with you like all the time. And so now that we're married and we're still all together all the time, I do appreciate the time, like my morning time when it's just me and I can like read a book, do my devotion. But I appreciate it. And I mean, and I think it's just over time, each year has definitely changed from our first year, second, third, now fourth. We've just turned 4 years in November. So each year is definitely changing every so much, but I think we communicate so much in our change that we kind of grow together in our changing in each year through communication.
Communication is, any suggestion would be to maybe take a class on communication, because you have 2 different people that have been living their life for however long before they met you, the way they wanted to, without, and there was a good selfishness. They didn't have to share because they're by themselves. They don't need to do it, in a way. And so that now they're coming together. You have 2 people coming from totally different backgrounds. You've got to, there's going to be some give and take, push and pull. And I think communication helps those moments of confrontation go a little bit better, and I'm talking about really the art of communicating. When someone's higher in tone, speaking lower, like real practical things, not like some, pseudo and force. I'm talking about learning little tips that will help your communication, that will keep you from, blow ups and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then we also have boundaries in communication, which we did learn, like, for example, when we were dating, it was so bad. I used to hang up on him. Like, if we were in a real heated conversation, I'd be like, all right, and just hang up on him, and he'd be like, hey, I don't like that.
That is the biggest pet peeve of mine. Someone hanging up my face, because you feel so powerless. You're a man, so you're trying to balance your ego with that, And so it's like, oh, it really, really sends me off. But I told her that, and she's never done it from the day I told her that.
Yeah.
But the deal is those guardrails help us communicate. We're never gonna, in an argument, we're never gonna talk about divorce. We're never gonna talk about regrets. We're never gonna talk about these things, because we can argue better that way. An argument's okay, because when you argument, you're showing passion.
Show your
side. You think you're right. That's the only reason you argue, is because you think you're right. And that's okay. Because you think you're right, and you think that what you have to present is the best way. And hopefully through a good argument, you'll get to a good solution, you know. There's nothing wrong with little arguments, but you just have to have those guardrails of saying, okay, you know, well, we're not going here or there. This is where we're playing at.
Yeah.
And that's so important. Like you respect each other's boundaries and
Mm-hmm.
and talk it out, which is good.
Yes.
We have to.
You have to talk.
We
gotta talk all the time.
I know. Notice like when we don't talk about the situation at hand right then and there, or we don't talk about it when we need to, I guess if it's like conference time or something, it will just keep going throughout the weeks or the days, and it just kind of makes every day just not as
Just ruin the day.
yeah, it just ruins the day. So it's always better. And it's so funny with Stanley, even though we do argue and stuff, I don't know, something about him, because it only ever happens with him, I just laugh. I really do. And I really,
She hates to laugh.
and I do, because I'm really serious about what I'm saying to him, or if I'm really serious about being mad at him, but he just makes me laugh. And I'll literally like have to turn my head and talk sometimes because he's making me laugh. I don't want to sound like that.
Yeah.
That like little cute perfect couple, because it's not.
No,
but
I do. No.
But he does. So.
Yeah, and it's a tactic so I can say, okay, let's lighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not that serious, but I don't want to push it too far, because sometimes I can keep going with the jokes, and then it feels like, okay, now you're not taking me serious.
Yeah.
So there's a balance with that too.
Right,
you know,
yeah.
but yeah, you know,
Yeah.
just we get better over time.
Over time.
I admire that, and then you're being vulnerable and allowing yourselves to be vulnerable and to make mistakes and work.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No one's perfect.
No.
Better need. That's one thing. Well, we're Christians, and so what it is we believe that nobody is perfect. So it's if our belief that if nobody's perfect and we get together, we can't require either one of us to be perfect. It's just not in who we believe in, who we think we are, and how we've been raised. Everybody makes mistakes, and everybody has somewhere to grow to. Right. So when you get married, when we got married, I knew and she knew that both of us, you know, we're going to have to grow. But there was a pastor that said something really, really good. And I think this helped me. He said, when you get married, he said, what you need to do is treat your wife or your husband after the years draw out. He said, treat your wife or your husband how you treated them when you were dating. He said, when you were dating, they didn't change. You just overlooked those things. He said, you overlooked the toothpaste being wet in the morning, the toothpaste pushing it from this side rather than that side. He said, you just overlooked that. He said, just do that, and you'll have less confrontation, arguments about stupid stuff, you know, because you did that like almost involuntary because you were so in love with each other. But that's a practice and a principle that you can use to say, I know that one thing bothers me, but why make an argument out of that? Just overlook it like you did. It's not something new to you. You've done this before. Right. You've done this before.
That's true.
That's a good analogy. That's a good assessment. So how is it now with Stan Jr. the third? Well, Stan the third.
Oh.
Lead the way.
Well, it's definitely good. It's just we have to be more sometimes tactical with our like communication and purposeful with things we want to do. But it definitely has it topsy-turvy like my world. Cause I'm like I love my house clean. Like before I leave, I need it clean. When I go to bed, I need it clean. And so it's so funny. I was telling Stanley this morning, I said, I don't understand what's going on. Like there's stuff everywhere. There's blocks here, stuff there. I'm stepping on stuff. And Stanley's just sitting like, oh, can we ever leave? And I'm like, I want to leave, but I just need the house clean. Right. So it's just different. It's been a year now. It doesn't seem like it, but it's definitely been a year now.
This whole life. This whole 1 year.
What is this? This is a nice taste.
Uh-oh.
it's fun. It has its moments. It's lots of work, and I keep pausing to think about it because it's just lots of work, but it's good work.
Yeah.
It definitely has grown me up in ways. Like he said, I'm not a morning person, but now I'm like, my goal every day is like, okay, I need to wake up at like 6:30, 6 o'clock. So it definitely has grown me and challenged me in different ways as a person and wife. And it's also fun to explore what kind of mother I am, you know, just some of the things I said I never would do, I'm doing. Like on Monday nights, he has Bible college, and so it's just me here. And when I'm cooking, I'm cooking trays in the kitchen. He's taking things out, like pots and pans, and as if I was a person not that didn't have a baby, I probably would have thought, oh, that's not going to be me. I'm going to do this and have this. And now it's me. I'm like, well, as long as he's not hurting himself, it's okay. So it's a lot of things. That's how I am now. I'm kind of like a lax mother. I think, Stanley, you would think I'm a lax mother. Like, I just kind of let him do kind of whatever.
Yeah, as long as it's not hurt. So
Yeah.
it's when we first were, when she got pregnant, we reading books and all this different stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just a waste of time. And it's so crazy that we've made this 180.
I literally read every single book there was. Like the best kind of books, I read it. And the last book that I read, I remember I dug into it. I took notes. I had sticky notes and everything. And I said, because he was about to be born, and I told Stanley, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get him on a schedule and a sleeping time. And he's like, okay, you know, whatever. We don't know nothing. And so literally, like when he was born, that week he was born, maybe like 3 days after. So yeah, 3 days after, I said, all right, Stanley, I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, okay, so we're going to start to try to sleep train him, put him on a schedule, whatever. And that was probably like it didn't work. And I was trying to make it work. And that was probably like our first little small fight as like newly parents, because he's like, what are you doing? You know, just kind of go with the flow. And so that's what I did.
Well, mind you, all this, before the days leading up to this, we have elders at the church and deacons and older women, mothers, that telling us, sweetie, it is not gonna go like you think. And you know, and she's just like, I know, but I want to do my best and this and that. And it was really sweet, but we learned really quick that you just gotta flow with it. It is
and to me, like as a mother, if somebody asked me for advice, what is your best advice? I would always say, do what works for you. Like everybody, there's so much advice about don't let the baby sleep with you, breastfeeding advice, what kind of sound machine. And it's good advice, but it might not work for your child, and it takes you away from learning your child and what your child likes and what works for you and your child, listening to the advice. So I think the advice is really good, but not to try to follow people's advice to a T. Because for me, as far as sleep training, I didn't sleep train him at all. And the advice that I did try to follow was the one where they say, well, don't let your baby sleep in the bed with you. So I tried that for like 2 months. And we were not getting sleep at all. He was up 2 hours, every 2 hours up. And I was like, okay, this is crazy. And so I called my uncle. He just wished us, congratulations on the new baby. He's like, well, how's your sleeping? I was like, we're not getting them. And he said, well, do you want sleep? And I said, yes. And he said, well, let the baby sleep with you. When I did that, because I was breastfeeding, it was the best thing I could have ever done. I finally got sleep. The baby, if he woke up, I just put him close to me and he was okay. I stopped changing his diaper at night unless it was poop, because I was like, okay, I can't function during the day. So it was I just really went with the flow with it. And then as far as sleep training, I let him do on his own time. And he wanted to get out of our bed and have his own space at 8 months, and it worked. And so
from that night till today, he sleeps through the night, period. I mean,
no issues. Every once in a while, he'll wake up.
And that's on our part. If we kept him out too late because we wanted to hang out, that's us. But we know he's going to get up a little early. But if it's a regular night, he's gonna sleep until 7 in the morning. And now
it's like I've got him to kind of, not on purpose or anything, but I used to wake up, like if I hear him wake up, I'd get up, like, and it would always be 6 o'clock. And so I noticed when I wake up, like if I purposely get up, he gets up. So if I wanted to work out, which I've actually tried, I woke up at 5, he was up. And I was just like, I'm trying to work out.
Yeah.
So I stopped trying. I stopped getting up. And if I hear him up, I won't get up until like 7:30. But he'll wait for me, and he won't even cry. He's just in there playing, laughing, drinking the rest of his bottle from like a few hours ago. But
but having this child really has helped in every major event in our lives. Helps me realize how much more I love my wife. It really is, because I say this all the time, because when we would get in certain arguments, I knew she was the one to marry, because I didn't feel like I felt about other women I had been dating after that argument. It's like, this is new. I do something's different here, because I still want to be around this person. You know what I'm saying? And so after having this baby, I still feel like I love my wife.
Yes,
and you know what I'm saying?
True,
and it's it's a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was gonna say, we talked before about having a child. You can't just bring. Okay, maybe you could, but it's very hard to bring a child into a relationship that's not solid and grounded, because having a child really kind of puts the pressure on that, challenges you in so many ways you never experienced and probably would have not experienced if you didn't have a child. So that's why I always say it's best to have a child when you guys are both solid in, in your marriage or relationship. Yeah.
And I love how you said you made a choice, let disagreements hinder you, and that you made a choice to still love her through the changes. That's beautiful.
Yeah, well, my dad's always, my dad. My dad has always been one that doesn't believe in falling in love, because you fall in love, it's Disney Channel stuff. You'll fall out of it. Okay, so there's a choice that you make daily, and it's not a scary thing. I think people think that, is he going to choose to love me today?
It's better that way. It's better that way when you choose to love a person, because it's your emotions. You can't trust your emotions. Your emotions fluctuate so many times throughout the day, and so I guess some people could be in a relationship, get an argument, and be like, well, I just don't feel like I'm in love anymore. But you have to choose every day. Like, I choose to love you every day, despite of you not putting the cap on the toothpaste, and you keep doing it, and I keep asking you, not saying that's us, I'm just saying, it's actually reverse. I'm the one that doesn't do that. But yeah, I choose to love you every single day.
Right. And every day.
And that way it's consistent, and that way it's unconditional. Choosing to love someone is unconditional, because falling in love with someone, I could kind of say it is conditional, because if they say something to you, or if they cross boundaries so many times, you're like, all right, well, I don't feel like I'm in love anymore. Can you?
Yeah, I can see that. I got you. I'm vibing with you.
Because I'm looking at you like, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you want it to be something that is predictable. I think marriage and relationships should be predictable. I'm not of the kind. Now, I understand surprises and we're keeping it romantic. I get that, but don't push it to where a person shouldn't be unpredictable. You want them to be predictable, so that you can trust them.
Yeah, and it's just like your favorite Starbucks coffee. You love it because you know what you're gonna get every single time.
It's gonna be the same every time. That's why you love it.
Yeah, that's why you love it. Yeah.
And do you feel like getting counseling kind of helps guide you through this new stage of life?
Well, we are very blessed because our parents are pastors.
Yeah.
And so
we'll just be talking like, all right, I'm going to mom and dad's house. Because I need to figure this out.
Right.
But yeah.
That has helped as well, because it's another perspective. And you two have your own ideas. And then when someone gives a third opinion and they're not involved at all with it, they can really give a really, really honest opinion of what's going on. And if you want it solved and you want to get past it, you'll take the suggestion, But I think that it is important. Counseling is important, just to get another opinion, an outside opinion of someone that loves you, someone that loves you too. That I think that is important, and that is helpful.
Yes, they set a great example, because they've been together 30
some years.
Oh,
Mom
yeah,
and Dad,
they're going
33
on.
years. Something like that.
Are you sure they're not going on 35?
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, no, you would know more than us, Aunt Rhonda.
Yeah. 30-something years.
Yeah.
Even from knowing them, they have been consistent throughout their whole life. And it's
Yeah.
never changed, no variables. And
Mhm.
as friends, I had never known them as dating, but as married, they have just
Mhm.
consistent and such a great example. So you have a great prototype there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You're
I
blessed to
wanted to
have
be
one.
married, right. I wanted to be married from a very young age because I saw that my parents were better people together. They were better people because of the God that they believed in.
Yeah.
I knew that, okay, if this God is so important to them and their marriage is so important to them, and then I love them and like them as human beings, I want to do that. You know, for me, they weren't hypocrites, you know, and that's a really big thing. Like a lot of PKs, they grow up and they see their parents and they're one thing in church and then they're totally different at home. And it's just like, how do I, you know, it's like, I don't know what to do with that. And then they grow up and say, I don't want to be nothing like my parents. And I didn't have that experience. I'm grateful that I didn't have that experience. Like you said, they're really, really solid humans. Yeah, really solid, consistent.
I didn't have that experience growing up. Like my mom and dad, they didn't get married, and I've never seen them together.
Right.
And so growing up, I always had the TV as an example of marriage and then a marriage with kids. So I did always want to be married. And then once I started dating Stanley, I had a good example of what a true marriage looked like. And I was so very grateful and thankful for that. And then bringing a child into our marriage is when I kind of thought, okay, how's this going to work out? Because on TV, their marriage is all nice and happy. And then when they bring a kid in, it kind of like rocks their world and they don't know, they don't know anymore about wanting to be with each other sometimes. So a lot of when I was pregnant, I talked to Lady D like all the time. And I said, well, how does this work? And how do I do this? And how? And I still do now. I will always. But she really helped me to understand like some of my thoughts that I had were just kind of like, that's TV. That's not reality. This is how you do it if you want to be married for the long term like us and things like that. So I'm really grateful for your mom and dad. Because they're really, I just love them so much.
I love them too. I love them tremendously. So growing on and in ministry, how is that going for the two of you and being an example mentors now for young couples?
I think we both do that. Well, I don't know. I'd say why, but I don't, honestly, I think if we are mentors, no one says it and they kind of believe, but they don't say it because they still have Lady D and Bishop. If they need to have counseling, they go to them, which I totally agree to.
Or
but
the pastors.
Oh yes, yes. But we definitely are, but not at the point of where we don't counsel any young couples or anything, but we definitely are as in gleaning too. I think people really do glean, like look at us. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I'm just, ministry though is good because we do everything together. Our church is based on family ministry. And so we look at the Old Testament and the New Testament for that. Mm-hmm. But we're saying that, you know, if a pastor cannot pastor his own home, what you doing pastoring other people, you know? And so Bishop is really strong on that. And so he, you know, he set it up to where his family has always been some way in the light to where you see it's like I've always sat on stage with my parents. And that was like a wild idea because children were not allowed on stage, you know, back in the day. Yeah. But they would see him raise us. Everyone would see him rear us in church. Wake up, you know, stop doing that. And he'd do it right there. And then he'd go preach and then go sit back down and be dad, you know. And so that was something that was, I think, really important that helped shape me for now being in ministry, working with them a lot more now.
I'm just thinking about me and just thinking about how like you've been shaped and groomed and had an example where I have had nothing to go off of. But go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but with you the flexibility that you've shown and being willing to, okay, this is this is how it works. And she wasn't, you know, a church girl.
No.
So-
I was always open to, I knew coming in to date Stanley and marry him and be a part of his family that there was going to be, I'm going to be in ministry some way, somehow. And I didn't know of what impact or what magnitude that would be, but I just kind of always had an open mind and willing to learn, willing to adapt. The willingness, I think, in me helped me for where I am now and helped me to be a part. And yeah, and just always trying to listen to Lady D, because Lady D kind of has somewhat of my kind of experience of, you know, we kind of, so she helped me a lot in that and growing and how to be in ministry. And being on stage has been, I think now I'm used to it, but I still get nervous. And so it's just kind of, but I like the nervousness because nervousness keeps me away from being familiar. So I like the little nervousness that I have. But
yeah, and it's the ministry we do. I think it's just important for us to respect each other's roles in ministry.
Oh yes,
like I respect her space and what she's delegated to do, and she respects mine. That's the best way to do it, because you just have to kind of, when you're talking about ministry, you got to respect the office of the minister. And so I know you're married to them or whatever, but it's like when they're at church and they're ministering, they're first for the people of God, you know, for the flock. And so it's important to know that. And that's a hard balance. Even growing up with my parents, you got to learn that you're sharing your parents. They are ministers. It's what they believe God called them to do. And so you are sharing, even now.
Well, yes,
you know?
So his experience is sharing his parents. My experience would be sharing him. I remember when we were dating, I used to say, you're always at the church. You're always doing something at the church. You're always, it's always the church. And so it wasn't until I finally kind of accepted that and had the same kind of willingness to be where he is, be about the church, have a church mindset, always be about, okay, what does the church need? And so that kind of helped us come together as well. Instead of trying to pull him away and say, you're never with me and you're always preoccupied with church, I went to where he was, but also really do have a heart for being in ministry and the people of God as well.
And you can be married to the church. So there's often times where she's like, hey.
Well, I know when he's doing too much. Yeah, when he's going overboard about it, when he's not getting sleep and he's starting to get stressed out about whatever it is, I'm like, okay, maybe you need to just relax and take your mind off it for a few minutes, depending on what it is. But yeah,
there's a balance of that. It's hard balance because you're working with people, you know.
Right. So
but you get that. I think that stuff. Some things, time is just the best teacher. It teaches you how to maneuver and balance that out.
And it's good you're keeping check on each other.
Oh, we have no problem with that. Ain't got no problem keeping each other in check.
No, we don't. Yeah.
So then in your businesses, apart from the ministry, and I was looking at your blog, I was seeing that you were doing designing and other ventures.
I manage the brand of a apologetics organization called Jude 3 Project. And so what they do is they inform African Americans on what they believe and why they believe it. I manage the brand, just messaging, positioning, and stuff like that on their brand. And that's what I went to school for. So I got what I went to school for, got a degree in, which is branding and design. And then also I have Read the Bible with Me, which is my personal ministry that God's given me. And it's like, I love doing it. I do. Getting up in the morning and reading the Bible with people that just want to read the Bible. I just think that's the coolest thing. And I can read it with people from everywhere. I just think that's the coolest thing. And so it's evolved into now a place where people can come, do a devotion in the morning, pray together. And then we also buy Bibles for persecuted Christians around the world. And so these are people that can't get the Bible, don't have access to it, they have to have church underground. And so because of where they live. And so we, as I call Bible Club members, we put our money in a pot, and then we give it to this ministry called Voices for Martyrs. And they pay for the missions and the trips for missionaries to go and smuggle these Bibles in there. So it is, and we do that every month. And so that's been really good. It's just cool to see what you can do with people that are focused on one thing. You know, it's help other people. It's just interesting how you can get people together and focus them on one thing, and then how that can just blossom and grow, you know. So that's what I'm really pressing for now. But yeah, Stan Design is something that I started right after college, or maybe the year before I graduated.
No, you started the year you graduated.
Yeah, the year I
because
graduated.
you had business cards. I remember passing them out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and so that's just something I do. Now I'm mostly just consulting that, you know, branding companies, because I don't really work with my hands like I used to. So, you know, just work with my head as much as I can now.
That's wonderful. And then Christine, you have your YouTube channel.
Yes, I do. I do have a YouTube channel that I actually put a pause on, and I focus most of my energy on my Instagram called Living Life Homemade. But my whole thing is just living life that you authentically create. So whether that be cooking natural food, living a healthy life, herbs instead of chemical medications and things like that. So I've actually started going back to school to become a health coach. That's like the base of what I want to do, but that's just to help me too, because I really want to be help women get pregnant. So I really want to teach like fertility awareness method to women, helping them know their bodies and everything like that. So on Instagram, that's where I put all of my time and attention to. So like last night, I did a whole thing. I made Trey like a natural chest rub because he's kind of under the weather. So I made a salve. I made like a cough syrup, kind of natural, and then I just I made dinner too. So it was a lot. So that's where I'm trying to go. And I have people occasionally that will DM me and ask, hey, what vitamins do you take? Can you give me a guide? Can you give me a plan? And so I just want to be certified so that I can actually really do it, and then just help just people live a natural life.
Projects are amazing, both of you.
Thank you. I remember when I was asking you about reupholstering, which, Aunt Rhonda, that was very, very hard. I tried so hard. Oh,
You're a pro.
And I said, you know what, I probably need to go back to New Jersey and get like a real lesson.
Project,
do a small project. I tried. I don't know what I was thinking.
After COVID, we can plan on doing that.
Yes.
Great, that would be fun.
Occasionally, like sometimes I'll do like interior design. Camille wants me to do her house, and I did her holiday decorations. So I'm kind of in that vein too. But that's what Living Life Homemade is, just a homemade life that you authentically create with your own hands.
I love that. I love that. I have to check it out.
Ooh.
What's your favorite family time? What is that?
Favorite time of the year is Christmas. And my favorite moment at this point is probably when we had a child and he was going through labor with me. I think that was a very impactful moment that probably will always stay with me.
Changed my life. That was the longest night of my life. Longest 3 days of my life.
It was pretty long.
Oh my gosh. We have a picture, and I was holding Trey after he's been born, and they just caught it off guard of me, and I looked miserable. And I was so happy. I was just so drained. Oh my goodness. But I think one of my favorite moments is beach days. I love beach days. Well, like we pretty much, yesterday was a beach day. Earlier today was a beach day. Yeah, it's Florida. How Florida is, and so up and down. But exactly, it goes up and down. And what I love about them is we get up a little earlier, may do some breakfast at the beach, and then we'll do like this things called acai bowls, and we'll sit out there, and just being over there, is just really, I really love the beach. And with Trey, it's a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, a lot of sand, and a lot of fun.
But yes, I think those are my favorite moments. I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Trying to think if I could think of any. I'm sure, but they're not coming to mind. But
how have you been overcoming your quarantine?
We have a bubble,
We do live in a bubble. We're like home and church, home and church.
Yeah. And
we weren't, but we were quarantined for a time, back in March, April. We did stay home, and honestly, it was like nothing because we were so used to being with each other. It was just kind of cool to
Yeah, I love working from home.
Yeah, to be even more
You know what's
together.
crazy?
I was baking and doing lots of stuff.
Right.
And
all the younger staff at our church love the quarantine.
Yeah.
We were all talking about, because we had this one day where we would come in for like, they actually assigned us different days for us to be in the office at the church, and then everybody had their days, so they kept the traffic down to almost nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of these days we did have a conference meeting or something. I don't know, but we were all there.
Yeah.
And all the younger staff was like, this has been so much
fun.
We love
and it's so funny because I think years past, we always talked about working from home, like, oh, we could just work from home, and it finally came to pass for the younger people, and we were just like, this is great. We can do
it was dreams come true.
But also too, I like to be home, but I can't stay home all day. So we did get a little bit.
Yeah, but say we would go to the beach.
Oh yeah, beach.
Go to open
You would see
space
a lot
parks,
of people with parks and bikes,
biking.
and roller skating came back in,
Right.
and it was a point to where I saw roller skating on TikTok, and I was like, Stanley, I need some skates. We have to go to skate station now. You have to teach me.
Right.
And so yeah, it was really fun. It was fun.
That was fun.
Which just sounds so weird, but I think we're blessed because our immediate family does live with us, close by us.
They don't live with us.
No, they don't live with us. Yeah, close by us. They live close by us, so we had that to our advantage. So I can only imagine for the other people who,
right,
whose family
it's
there.
rough. It is rough. Yeah. It's been rough, but we've been just
weathering
the storm and Zoom calls and all that stuff. We've been making good use of it.
What has been hard is that this year my grandpa went to live in a
assisted living nursing home.
Well, yeah, kind of like a nursing home. So that's been hard. It's because I've always been used to him living in his house and being on his own. So
he was on his own 93.
Yeah, and then when the whole pandemic came, they put so many tight restrictions. We couldn't see him at all, and so that was really hard.
Yeah, we saw him at least once a week. We would take him to the grocery store.
Just started. Oh yes, last year we would see him. We were doing it almost about 2 years.
Yeah, we would take.
So we would take him to the store. We would see him, and I was so thankful. Looking back now, I'm thankful that we had that time to do that, because now we would have never had that time. And then Stanley too, he got to know him and talk to him, and so when he went to the nursing home, when he's still there, and I have a meeting with him on Saturday, but that was really hard. And selling my house that I grew up in was really hard, because I was like, oh my goodness, times are really changing. I'm getting older, and so yeah.
Parents are the best. They're the best.
Yes, they have so many stories to share and everything.
But we got a good picture of him and Trey, and also November of last year. I always say this. I know it sounds real morbid, but she's probably going to outlive me because all of her grandparents are alive, and they're all 90s, and they're all living. They were all living by themselves, and I was like, what is this? And so her grandfather, great grandpa on her mom's side, lives in Pennsylvania, and he came down for Thanksgiving last year, and so we had him and the other grandpa here, and they knew each other, and so I got him, the other grandpa, my dad, me, and Trey, and we had a good picture because she had just had Trey 2 weeks before or something, or a week before, and so they got to hold him. We got video, we got picture. And we I was telling her, I kept telling her, we have got to get this stuff because they are almost 100, both of them.
Oh,
yeah.
You have to share that. You have to share that, please. Oh, that's
absolutely.
So reading the Bible is very significant, and I find it so helpful. And you're also a professor.
Well, I'm a teacher on my way. We have a private school as well. And so I teach Bible and U.S. history there. And so it really is. Children and kids are just amazing. I think that the kids we have are amazing. And just seeing light come to a mind is so cool to see. They're like, whoa, so that's why we do that today. Oh, that's the reason this is like that. oh, seeing light come to mind is really cool. And Christine, next year, she just got hired to be a health teacher.
I did.
So that's cool. And because I told her that's going to be really good for her because.
Yeah, I really am excited. One of the teachers let me actually this year kind of pop in once a month to actually teach about, it started off with puberty. So I was just talking to the girls, and I really did, at first I was like, I don't know, if I could do this or if it would be impactful, but I really did really enjoy it because I'm giving them a good solid foundation that's factual, and they can also learn their bodies, especially as like Black girls. They can know what is scientifically going on in my body instead of myths and hearsay. They know exactly what's going on. So we recently, last week, just did I gave them like a mini quiz, and they answered all my questions correctly. So that made me happy that, okay, they're listening. They know what's going on. So if anything, if someone ever asks them a question, they can scientifically answer, this is what's going on with me. And then also, so they're not afraid about what's going on in their body. But now that I'm a health teacher, I have to teach the guys too. So, and then I think Stanley wants me to teach home economics, which I'm actually really excited about that one too. And cool. So, yeah, it's just fun teaching kids because you can give them a foundation of factual foundation of knowledge, and they're kids, so they can learn. And then what you're pouring into them is, right. And like you said, the light bulb just goes off, and they appreciate that so much because I know sometimes they're not talking to their mom and dad, and the people that they, that friends don't know, the friends are young as them. Right. So to be a teacher is kind of an honor. Yeah. I'm honored to be one.
Can you tell us the school and if we can sign up online?
Yeah, it's called the Academy of Excellence, and they have online program as well. Every school has one now because of COVID. Yeah. And so, you can just theaoejax.com, theaoejax.com, and it's got an online program, of course. It's a private school. We did have an online student. She was able to. Yeah, we have a couple of them. Yeah. We it's a private school, so the work could be rigorous if the kid wasn't used to it, but it's good stuff. It's a great school. But and you should say that this school has also caught kids up to where they weren't at before. Oh, sure, that's true. Yeah. Yeah. So if they could have been in 7th grade and at a 4th grade reading level, and we've caught them up to their grade and even higher. Yeah, we use a tailored curriculum. Mm-hmm. So the curriculum is tailored to the child. So every child they're on the same track, but they have a curriculum. It's an artificial intelligence that helps them see where they're lacking, and it'll present the problems to them different ways for that child as they go on. Yeah. So that's a way that kind of helps the teacher out, seeing where they are, and it gives the teacher a lot of feedback. Yeah, and that's what sets this school apart. We had a student that, we had 2 little baby students, remember? Ooh, yeah. And their parent was going to take them to another school. After their kindergarten. Yeah. After kindergarten. And so they were just, it's just a closer school, they're moving closer to the house, and they were going to take them, and they tested at the school, and the lady said, well, they need to be they're testing at 2nd grade level. And she said, where did they go to kindergarten at? Mm-hmm. And she told them where, and the lady said, oh, they did a great job. And so she said, well, thank you. I'm going to take my kids back to the school, and that was a funny story. But she came up and told us that right before school started. And just stories like that are really encouraging. But I really attested to that tailored curriculum because every kid doesn't learn the same way. And so it's like on the curriculum, it'll present the same problem in their learning style. And so that just how they can understand. How they can understand. That helps. Mm-hmm.
That's so important. I'm glad you see that detail in that.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's cool.
a good point. Yeah.
So going back to your relationships, what is your love language for each other?
So I've kind of briefly read the book Love Languages, and honestly, I want all the love languages. Want them all. But if I had to choose one. Oh, it's so hard. I would say maybe a tie between gifts and quality. No, I don't even know if quality is a love language.
Quality time?
Is it a love language?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so between those two, I would say those could be my love language.
Mine is probably quality time. Yeah. If I have a day to spend with you, doing what we like to do,
Yeah, I love
that's
that.
hard to beat.
It's
Yeah.
hard unless you buy my favorite Starbucks cup and make up for that quality time. So quick funny story. I collect Starbucks cups. I love them. I collect, yes, from different states, but also sometimes I get just random ones that I think are cool enough to be in my collection. So I recently saw like 2 pink iridescent. That is me. That is who I am. And so when I seen them, I said, okay, I'm not gonna get them right now. I'm gonna come back and I'll get them. So I told Stanley about them, and he's like, okay. So I went back to Target. I tried to get my cups, and I only saw one of the cups, and it was a pink iridescent mug. And I almost had tears because I said I knew I should have got it, and nobody took it. Nobody got it.
First world problems.
Oh, and so then Stanley, I called all the Starbucks in Jacksonville. There's 50 of them. Nobody had them. I told Stanley, I've mapped out a plan. We're going to go to all of them. How we're going to do that with Trey in the car, I don't know, but we'll figure it out. And so that was the whole day. And then at the end of the day, Stanley said, I got your cup. And I almost had tears in my eyes. And I said, oh, he loves me. I know he does, because he found it off Poshmark. And so they upped the price, and I just really, thank you.
You're welcome.
I really, and like, that is my, so yeah.
Yeah, I think quality time for me. Because
So it could be either.
she's got to make me go buy something. I mean, for myself, or I'm just not into it. But quality time, like going somewhere together, eating, we're foodies. So we love to sit and eat good food. So, and it doesn't got to be restaurant. I'm talking about hole in the walls. I just want good food. Yeah. And good coffee. We have a thing where we sit and sip, and the coffee is, and we can sit for hours if we not as long, not as long now. Not as long now. But before, and when someone's watching, we'll go do that.
That's what we do. Yeah. Go to the bookstore now. Mm-hmm. Ooh, I love the bookstore, but that's another thing.
What is Trey doing now?
Everything.
Oh man, so he knows words. He's got like eat. Does he know no? I think he knows no. For some reason, he picked up on like he'll say He walks. He's very independent. He's just kind of all over the place. He is. He's like learning and growing. He's so big. Right now, he's with his auntie as we do this interview, so that we can do an interview.
Yeah, knock this thing. He would knock this camera down.
Yes, he would.
It's like, what is this?
That's what he was actually doing this morning with the camera stand. So he's all over the place, but we love him.
He's growing.
Yeah.
He's a combination of the both of you.
That is so true. That is so true.
Oh, so thank you so much. And I know, like, even during hard times, you guys stay positive. So can you share more about your faith and how it keeps you going?
I mean, I am a Christian, and I believe in the God of the Bible. And so I say that because there are 2 kinds of people. There are people that are made in the image of God, and that's every human being on the planet. I don't care if you love God. I don't care if you hate God. I don't care if you believe in God or not. You're atheist, agnostic, whatever you call yourself, you are made in the image of God, the imago Dei. And that is Greek for the image and image bearer. And so what we're saying is that's one thing. But then the Bible talks about being made in the likeness of God. And so the difference between an image and likeness is my son has my image. It looks like me. But as he grows older, he's going to be like me. As he spends time with me, he's going to be like me. And so I think spending time with Jesus personally together in fellowship with saints at church, all those different instances, you are learning to be like Christ. And so what a good faith foundation is, a faith that can go through a trial, can go through hard times. And it's actually, you don't know you have faith until you go through those things to see if you come out on the other side, how you're looking when you come out on the side of that. And so I think that with the Bible tells us that trials come to perfect our faith, to make our faith stronger and more, potent. And so I think that it's Christ and the Bible has been the center of our relationship, and we've been taught by my parents to have the Bible be just the final say. If we agree that the Bible's the final say, then us two can have what we want, and then we can say, okay, what if she mentions a scripture, or if I mention scripture, we're going to stop and we're going to say, okay, that's the truth. And so we have a definitive truth there that we can really be stable and really grow and work from. And I think that when we have that truth, that we can base our relationship on, our friendship relationships on, all of that, we can base it on the Word of God. And I think that's really important for us. That's been a rock in our relationship.
Faith is like our grounding, our center. So like Stanley was saying, like in any trials or anything that we go through a hard time, we always come back and we center ourselves there. So for example, I guess kind of an example, like we're in faith for a house in a certain area. And so every time we drive around the area, we're just like, oh man, sometimes you're like, oh man, how come they have this and they have that? But I always try to think, like, I come back to my faith as my grounder, like, okay, no, we're in faith. We trust in the God, and we believe his word.
Yeah, I mean,
and so,
I was just going to say that Jesus as our satisfaction helps us balance the things you don't get, things you do get, that it's all seen as extra. Blessing in the Bible is extra. Favor, mercy, all this is extra if Christ is your satisfaction. And, if we're satisfied in Jesus, we're satisfied in Christ, then everything else that happens to us is seen as, oh, this is cool. Oh, that's great. Oh, this is nice because I'm satisfied with Christ. And, my wife is extra. She gets the overflow of my relationship with Christ. She'll know, one day if I go without a quiet time in the morning, I'll notice. And then if I go without a quiet time for a few weeks, she'll notice, or a couple of days, she'll notice. And then my church will start to notice. Elders will start to notice, okay, what's going on with you? Because of my relationship with Christ is wobbly, and so if I keep that strong, my other relationships really benefit from that initial relationship.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better.
That's beautiful. And even with you believing for a house, that stretches your faith.
It does, right. Yeah.
Yes.
But we're so thankful. I mean, even though we don't have one now, we're so thankful of where we are. Like, we love where we are, and we love, the memories that we've created in it, and it's all in God's timing. I don't want to live not in God's timing. I don't want to rush anything. Whenever it's his time for us, that's where I want to be. So if it's not now, then okay, that's okay. But I trust the Lord, and I know that, he will bring it to pass. But in the meantime, I'm happy, and I'm patiently waiting, and I'm happily patiently waiting for that. And so, so faith is our grounding, our center where we come back.
Faith in God.
Yes.
Yeah. Not faith in faith. I think a lot of times a lot of people have gotten away from faith in God. It's like, okay, I just got faith in driving around the neighborhood, or just faith in it's going to follow the sky. No, we have faith in God. He will do the work, and we will do our work. We will do what you're supposed to do with your money.
Right.
You got
faith
that.
without works is dead.
So it's all of that. It's a sensible faith. I think a lot of people have taught this blind faith, and that's not in the Bible.
Yeah, and a lot of nowadays, I don't want to get off topic, but nowadays there's this faith in self that people have, and if I say the right things, if I do this and I do that, then it will come to pass. But that is not.
Yeah, I mean, you'll let yourself down.
Yes.
And you don't, and then that leads to other things that us humans have to deal with. But I think that God has never failed anybody, and he's not going to mess his good record up by failing you.
No.
And I love to hear how you define faith, because that's many messages, faith and faith, you miss that main component that it's God, the center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
faith is in God. And and they're doing it in good heart. And I don't want to get off on this, but they're doing it in good heart because they're trying to like develop things to help people grow in their faith and all confessions and that we do all of that. But the confession is to help you believe in God.
Yeah, because some people will feel like when I say faith in self, like, okay, if I read my Bible enough, if I get up every day, if I do, and you're missing the whole point of it's supposed to be faith in God. So even when I don't get up in the morning and read my word, if I miss time, devotion time or worship time, I still have, my faith is not in my words, but it's in God, knowing my intention and my heart. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Amen. Preach it.
No, I'm not preaching.
By works, we think if we do this or that, God will love us more, or we get more rewards, but it's not that way.
Yeah.
My dad said something that just touched my heart. So he said we were looking at when Jesus got baptized by John the Baptist. Of course, John the Baptist did not want to baptize Jesus. He was like, I can't even tie your shoes, I'm not worthy to tie your shoes. And Jesus said, no, let's do it because the prophets said this is the way it should be done. And I can't come down here and do my own thing. I'm under their prophecies. And so he said, let's do this. And when Jesus was being baptized, he came up from the water and God spoke from heaven and said, this is my beloved son in whom I'm well pleased. Jesus hadn't even started his ministry yet. He hadn't done anything. And God had said, I'm pleased. I love you. You haven't done anything for me. And I love you just where you are and how you are. And I think it's a beautiful, that he told me that was a really beautiful way of looking at that because Jesus, like I said, he hadn't even begun his ministry and God already is declaring. And people heard this, that I'm happy with him right now.
So what advice would you give young couples starting out as we're closing in their faith and just beginning a whole new life together?
Communication, and let the word be your final authority. That's my advice.
Yeah, we're Christians, so that's what we believe. Communication, word be the final authority, and give your spouse time to grow.
Yeah.
Give them time to grow, because you're not perfect and they're not perfect. And it's just, we got to grow together. And I think over time, you'll be able, it just gets better over time. I think it does because you're learning the person more. Yeah, every day you learn something new about a person. I think you could.
Yeah. And like since you're saying give your spouse time to grow, I guess in that is saying, I guess when you're dating and then when you get married, I think people think that things will change automatically some way, somehow, but it's the growing in one another is really awesome because it's like you guys can grow into becoming one. And so it's there's an instance, I guess Stanley had hurt my feelings or whatever, and I asked Lady, I said, is Stanley always gonna hurt my feelings? She said yes. He's not perfect, and that's just, but you have to know that it's not personal because he loves you. It's never intentionally that he's intentionally hurting you. And so going forward now, if anytime he hurts my feelings, so I think one time I told Stanley just recently, when you don't eat my food, that hurts my feelings. And I just told him. And so we had a mini conversation about that. And he was like, but I know that it wasn't intentional. And so
she's baking all these desserts. And I don't eat desserts like that.
And I just wish you did.
I know. She was it because she's baking them. I'm like, I just don't eat heavy desserts. I may eat like a scoop of vanilla ice cream or, with some espresso or something. But, but I try stuff. Stuff is good. It tastes great. I just don't eat a lot of desserts.
And I wish you did. But too, like I was saying earlier, if the love is, if we choose to love each other all the time, that love is unconditional. So I know that it's never him intentionally hurting me. So I always take my I always take my feelings out, saying I never really take it personal because I know that he would never do anything intentionally to harm me or to hurt me. So
I just think I would tell them that your relationship with Jesus is the most important relationship on earth.
Yeah.
And these other ones, like your wife
Mm-hmm.
and your mom, your dad, all that is secondary. It really is, because you ain't gonna be married in heaven.
That's true.
You're only married for a certain amount of time down here. And
Yeah.
Paul says there's a gift of relationship and there's a gift of singleness. So there it is. It's both of these things. And so I just think people, don't even put your wife. Don't idolize your wife. Don't idolize your husband. Idolize God and Jesus, and keep him first, and then
People get the overflow of that.
because Jesus and God's requirements are way higher than your wife's or your husband. Your wife just wants you to be quiet and do what she wants you to do sometimes. You just want her to be quiet and do it and let you watch the game sometimes. You have low requirements for each other. Your highest one is not going to meet Christ's requirements. So if you're reaching for his, your horizontal relationships are all working out. If your vertical relationship, just ran and got this. This is called You and Me Forever, right?
Yes.
And this is by Francis Chan, a godly man and his godly woman, and they're married. And when we read this book, the first thing we notice is that he says, "Do you have it?" Oh wow! Do we have? I see a sticky note right there.
No, that's my.
Okay.
Go ahead and talk.
So, first thing we notice about this book is the way they're approaching marriage was not for some. I don't even know how to explain it, but what is this?
Oh my goodness, Aunt Rhonda, I'm so sorry.
Well, what the main goal of this book is to tell you that your marriage is a mechanism for witnessing to people.
Yeah.
It's not just about you and her being so in love. He's saying, yeah, you should be in love, but he's saying this is all for a tool to witness to people the love of Christ for them, for somebody else, so that they can look at you and your relationship and say, well, gosh, what is that they have between each other? And then you turn around and tell them, this is the way Jesus wants to love you. He wants to love you deeply and intimately. And if you just let him, he'll love you, and because he's a gentleman, he's not gonna throw himself on you. He's gonna respect your values. He's gonna respect if you don't want to be with him. He's not gonna force you into eternity with him. He's gonna allow you to make that choice because he respects you. And so if you respect one another and you see that in a relationship, you tell them, well, the reason we have this, the reason you like us as humans, you like to be around us, the reason you have so much fun when we go out, is because we love God. And so, and that's what I was talking about with my parents. I noticed that they are who they are because of God. And so I love them. And everybody has to realize this, that whoever your parents are, if you love them, if they've raised you and you're like, oh, I do love my mom and dad, and they say that they're Christian or whatever they said, you got to give that some credit to shaping who they are, the person, and then they shaped you. And if you like yourself, you were shaped by your parents, who were shaped by, you got to kind of think about that. I tell people all the time, I have a friend that is not wanting to be anywhere near the church right now, but he had to admit that he loves his parents, and his parents are, in our church. And he has to admit, I love my parents, and they raised me with the Bible. I can't get rid of that. I can't just give that. I have to say, if I like who I am, that had a bit to do with shaping me to be who I am. And so but this book right here, let's just put it up again. It's okay. It's so many great quotes.
I was literally trying to find it, Aunt Rhonda, but
this is the book, though. You and Me Forever.
And that question you asked, what you advice that you recommend, advice for married couples or couples in relationships. This book would be a very, very good book to read together. But like Stanley said, when we first read that part where he talked about how like marriage is
your
it's like
representation of how Christ loves you. And so what he's saying, it says marriage in light of eternity.
Yeah.
He's saying this is something that has eternal consequences for somebody else. Everybody's not going to hear Jesus. Everybody's not going to see Jesus. Everybody's not going to, but they're going to meet you. They're going to see you, and they're going to see your relationship. And this is marriage is really, really important. I
really wanted to find.
Well, go read it. I mean, it's a small. It's not that big.
It's not that big, but it's so impactful. And then at the end of each chapter, they have like little things for you to do, action things to do. So yeah, it's a really good book. Make a list, make things, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, you all have a wealth of wisdom. I thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us on.
Accepting.
Of
And I
course.
really appreciate you guys. I love you all so much. You know I do. I love
We
you.
love you
You
too.
know
We
we
can't
love
wait to
you.
see you.
Can
I
we
know
hug
for
you?
sure we're gonna be in New Jersey. I just know it.
Oh, that's the first. When this stuff is rolled out and everybody's good, the first place we're going, you know we're going to New
Yeah.
Jersey. I can't wait to go there. Oh my
Do another
God.
activity. We always do fun trips, like day.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Well, thank you all, and thank you for your time. And audience, you will glean so much from Stanley Jr. and Christine, just as a couple and as individuals. And I thank you for just listening and taking notes and applying it in your life. So until next time, I'm Rhonda Jennifer. Thank you.
Thank you.